Hi folks, let's continue talking about functions and parameters and go through a really simple app and take a look at how we can use functions with parameters in here to make our code more organized and to make it more efficient to share our functions with other coders. Let's take a look. I have a really simple adding machine. The purpose, this app will add two numbers. Its function is that the user inputs a number in each box, then clicks add. The program gets the values from each box, and then the function will add them together and return the answer. Okay, let's try it. Okay, I put in 5 and 7, and the adding machine returned 12. Perfect. Okay, so let's look at the code. What are we doing here? Okay, we're going to declare our variables. I have num1 equal to nothing, num2 equal to something else, and answer equal to x. Then we have our onEvent block. When the user clicks on the add button, the onEvent block will do its thing. So we're going to take num1 from the user input place, num1 input, and we're going to get the number out of it, and num1 is going to get that number, right? So num1 gets 5 here. Then num2 gets the number from this other box, so num2 gets 7. Then I'm running a function. Okay, we'll look at that in a minute. And then I'm setting my output. Set the number for answer output to answer. All right, so let's look down here at our function. Okay, this function adds the two numbers. So this function's name is Add2, and all it does is it says answer gets num1 plus num2. Why would I want to use parameters here? The program's working, so why mess with it? Well, here's the thing. Imagine that we are going to do a whole class project where we make a calculator, and every person in the class is going to write a function that will do some action that the calculator does. So for example, I just pulled up some pictures. This calculator is a really simple one, right? It adds, subtract, multiply, divide. It'll figure a percentage, it'll figure the square root, and then I gotta be honest here, I'm not 100% positive what the M things do. Let's look at a little scientific calculator if we wanted to get more fancy. We could do the sine, the cosine, the tangent. We could do exponents. We could set something to pi. We could do division. We could do exponents here, square root. So we have some things to choose from. I don't want to write all those functions myself. That is a major pain in the neck. So I'm going to get together with my team, and each team member is going to write a different function. Then what we're going to do is we're going to store those functions in a library. That library will then allow all of us to access all of the functions that we created. We can share them. Then we can each make our own calculator using the functions that are pre-made. If I shared this function with you the way it is, what if you named your variable something besides num1 and num2 and ants, right? What if you named your variables n1 and n2, or you spelled out the whole word number, or you spelled out the whole word answer? Now, if I copied this function from you, it's not going to work. And what if everyone in the class wrote their function using different variable names? When you have a function that you're going to share with other people and you're going to add to a library, you want to standardize it so that the user doesn't have to completely go through so much trouble to change up the variables within the code. For example, when we look at this getColumn function, which we've been using, this is effectively a library. Code.org is giving us a library and giving us a whole bunch of blocks that we can use, and we don't have to worry about what is inside that block. I don't have to worry about how code.org gets the column from the data tab and adds every single item in that column to a list. Don't know, don't care. The person who wrote this gave some explanation over here, and they give us some instructions, and they tell us that in order to run this get column function, we need these two pieces of information. We can run this get column function with any table, with any column. So the syntax or the grammar for this is the function's name was get column, and it needs us to give it two pieces of information. We need to give it the name of the table, and then within that table, the column that we want to get. And they even list the parameters here in a little chart. Table and column, and the type, they're strings, and are they required? Yes, they are required. What is then the function going to give us back? Well, it's going to return a list containing the values from the column in the data table. That code in there must be pretty complicated. I don't want to see it. I'm just thankful that code.org did it for me. In order to turn my Add2 function into something that other students can share, I have it working with global variables, and these global variables will work anywhere in my program. Right now, they're working from inside the function. The problem is, as I said before, what if the person I'm sharing my function with names them something different? What if I change the names of my variables to N1, N2, and A? A is for answer. I would then have to go into my on event, and I would say N1 and N2. And then the output, I would set it to A. I grab this function from my classmate, and I throw it in, and I click the run button, and I put in my numbers and add, and I get this error. Oh, line 38. Oops, we can't figure out what num1 is. Perhaps you meant the string num1 with quotes. If this is meant to be a variable, make sure you declare the variable var num1. Oh, geez. Well, my variable is called n1. The way we solve this problem is we use parameters. Rather than using these global variables that are available throughout the program, I'm just going to send in the information that I need. Think of my input-output machine. I'm going to send in the two numbers, and this function will then return the answer. So what we do for that is, I'm going to do show text here, and you want to put the pieces of information that you need inside your function to make it run. So I need num1, comma, num2. And then they will be used here. I can make answer its own variable. This now is a local variable. This variable only exists while this function is running. I'm going to return the answer to my user, and then they can do whatever they want with it. So let's go up here and take a look at my code. On the event that the add button is clicked, we're going to get N1 and N2, put the values in these variables. Then we run the Add2 function, and we're going to set that answer output to A. Okay, we are using the Add2 function, and the Add2 function has changed. In order to run, the Add2 function needs those two numbers. So when I call the Add2 function, in between those parentheses, I have to give those two numbers. So in this case, I'm going to put in N1 and N2. This is going to return a number. It doesn't actually output anything to the screen. It won't actually put the text here. It's just simply going to give me back a number. So what I want to do is I want to say A equals, so my variable A will now equal whatever this function gives us back. So let's look at that. A is equal to whatever this function is. So I'm going to run this function, I'm going to get an answer, and I'm going to give that value to A. Then I'm going to output that answer to the answer output text block, which is over here, and it's going to output my A. All right, I am crossing my fingers now. I'm going to hit run again, and let's see what happens. Okay, run, 12, 32, add, 44. It worked.